your girl Jordan with UAB TV, and this is the first episode of The Sit Down. I'm your interviewee, and today I'm here with Mr. Pat Johnson. He is a production manager of UAB Student Media. But before we jump in, Mr. Johnson, how are you?
I'm doing well, How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
You grew up in a family of singers, MCs, and musicians. So did you feel that it was necessary to be a musician?
The family that I refer to is really more so a cast of it's cousins, it's friends, it's classmates and whatnot. So it was always around that I felt a need to become a part. At some point in time, yeah, one of those extreme wants. They feel like needs, and then you won't know until you pursue it and find out if it's what you want or not. So yes.
You are a successful musician, media designer, and videographer. How did you balance your career with other obligations?
That is hard. It is hard to balance a career with other obligations. At one point in time, I think I was working 60 hours a week while going to school, and we had just had my second daughter, so we got two young ones at the house. It was a lot going on. So I mean, yes, it's definitely hard, but you got to prioritize time, and you got to kind of figure out what it is that you actually want out of it. What's your passion? What are you there for? And kind of stick to those particular things, and you'll be successful, I think.
Do you regret anything in your career? Have you ever felt at one point you settled?
I used to think that I had regrets. I don't necessarily have regrets. After I went through a period of kind of wondering, would I, should have done some things differently or whatnot. But at the end of the day, I'm a firm believer in karma. I believe in what's yours belongs to you. Mm-hmm. So I think that everything that I went through, of course, all your accolades, you claim those, they belong to you. But the hardships are hard to kind of hold on to or whatnot. But at the same time, the hardships give you character. They train you on how to behave and act and accept the good things when they come and whatnot. So I just learned to accept all of it. It's all part of my story.
What skills would you like to master?
What skills would I like to master? At the end of the day, everything that I've done has kind of led to a career in storytelling, if you would. Storytelling through music, through writing, through production in terms of composing and whatnot, and it led me into videography and whatnot. So I think ultimately I just want to become a better storyteller overall. Use all the tools that are available to me, use all the opportunities, network, and ultimately just be able to tell the story of some awesome people.
So since you've had a successful career, what has inspired you to continue to pursue your dreams instead of retiring?
First and foremost, I'm not old enough to retire. Let's go there first. I don't know what y'all think this is, but I'm gonna be around for a while. I plan on it. But I mean, just life, man. I got things I want to do. I got places I want to go. I got projects I want to produce. I don't ever look at anything as a point of age. I look at things as a point of experience, and I'm not tired of experiencing new things or whatnot. So I want to kind of keep pushing forward and seeing what I got to do. Plus, I got people who look at me from some organizations I work with, Real Life Poets, some of those students, the students in student media, whether I like it or not, how I behave and what I do, I think matters. And then the ultimate, of course, I got two daughters at home, so if they don't see me continuing to move and work and make things happen, they won't have the example that I think they need to move to where I think they need to go. So, Maya, Nadia, watch this.
Can you describe your video style that you used in Mr. Dow Has Something to Say trailer that was awarded 4 Emmy Awards in 2008?
I can tell you off the top, because a lot of people think that I did edit on the video in the movie. I was the music director for the movie. So I didn't necessarily edit the video. That was Jared from Outpost Pictures, who is still doing some things, who is also, we'll talk. But Jared did the edit and whatnot. I did the music for it, so the process for us in getting the music together was mainly, they gave us some some early clips of the documentary that they were working on. We sat down and we just watched these clips and kind of got acclimated and familiar with Mr. Dow. And just creating the music is really just going off the tone of what you feel. So for me and a lot of the people who were involved in it early on, Mr. Dow was an elderly gentleman. He had just started in the art world as far as that's concerned. So for all of us, he kind of represented our grandfather to an extent. And the way he talked, his mannerisms and whatnot, some similar things from the South. So, all of that kind of played into how we made the music, what we made, the tone of it. We used a lot of gospel-oriented or feels or whatnot. We used a lot of spoken word because we wanted to be able to kind of articulate and tell the stories. We did use hip-hop, there's rock and roll on there. So, we kind of went in different directions just based on the story that we kind of got from Mr. Dow and how it resonated with us individually.
So what brought you to UAB? Did you not want to work towards achieving another Emmy, or was the achievement you earned enough for you?
Just because I'm here at UAB does not mean that I'm not in pursuit of anything else. So if anything came my way, that I wouldn't be okay with it or whatnot. So I still freelance. I still do freelance work. I've got some pet projects that I'm planning to work on that, if pushed in the right direction, picked up by the right people, could fall in that category again, where you're up and available for awards and whatnot. But other than that,
what do you love about your job?
for me, it's probably the number one thing, or the two top things I'll say. I get to be around students who are kind of in a, I won't say a crossroads, but like all you guys are at a particular age where you're soaking things in, you're trying to find your way, you're trying to learn. And the next step for you really, in most cases, is to be out in the real world doing real things and applying a lot of lessons that you learn here. So first of all, I want to kind of be able to kind of impart some of the lessons that I've learned along the way, some of my successes as well as some of my failures. In the real world, and kind of give those to you guys through the media and anybody else who comes in and wants to be a part of it, in hopes that it will kind of help make your career transition a lot smoother. Other than that, I love being a part of multimedia. I love producing. I love being a part of a team. I love watching ideas develop. So for me, it's a way to kind of mentor, but at the same time, I get to play with all my favorite toys at the same time. So.
What do you want to accomplish before you die? What legacy do you want to leave?
Legacy. If there was a legacy that I would want to leave behind, to be honest with you, I would like for it to be encouraging people to kind of listen to other ideas and other stories. That's part of the reason why I started out rapping, why I started out producing, why I started out doing all these things and whatnot. We're producing things. We're not producing them and keeping them at home. We're producing them in hopes that they'll affect somebody one way or another, no matter what it is you're talking about, no matter what it is you're shooting a video about. So all in all, I want to be known as someone who was able to positively affect people, and hopefully make everyone feel good, tell great stories, be entertaining, be a great dad, father. I don't know.
What advice would you give to those aspiring to be in a position like your own?
The work is real. It's real life. It can be real hard. All the things your mother and your father told you about, warned you about, they're real. That does not mean that you have to be afraid of them. It doesn't mean you have to stop, but you do have to be smart about how you go about conducting yourself. So we have it.
Well, thank y'all for tuning in to the sit down. But before we go, Mr. Johnson, can you spit something?
Oh, really? That's where we going with this?
Yes.
So there was a song that I did for the Mr. Dow soundtrack. I do it sometimes as a song. I've done it as a poem before. I've done it a cappella. It's basically almost like an ode to Denise McNabb. Denise McNabb was one of the four little girls in the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing. And there was a guy who I went to elementary school with, because we went to school literally around the corner from there. But the guy I went to elementary school with, who would tell me about his family and about their legacy, so to speak. And I had no idea at the time his father, well, he was related to Chris McNabb. So I think Denise McNabb may have technically would have been his aunt or something like that. So that was the first time I ever even heard about her. And so when I knew about the story about the bombing, it just turned into a whole different thing. So we wanted to write some things about it. It's different series to it, but this is what I wrote. And it's called Black Pearl. Black skin with a soul to match. Black skin with a soul to match. Drifting on a winged star you can't hold her back. Path made to the sun, froze cold at that. Young soul, gone, locked away. Closed the latch, was plain in broad day. The stained glass stained with blood in the hallway, it was scattered in tattered choir rolls. The fire rose, bricks fell, the battle bodies more, but on the flagpole, the Confederate flag rose in Dixie, Alabama the beautiful. Hard of the Bible Belt, when they suppressed with more than an idle threat. Caught in the spider's net, considered a tribal threat, searching for security like the blanket that liners kept. So when blacks lined the streets, demanding war for peace to get more release, to destroy the beast, to force the peace for the least, but they were forced to cease by the government issued 38 caliber pistol. Now, it's simple. Sometimes the mental lit the fuse that snuffed the life into the wind with the whisper. There were no love you, no kiss you, no miss you, motivations for the McNabs to grind to the gristle. No connections, no convictions, hopeless intentions, no sentiment for these ropeless lynchings for that one little girl, little black pearl, never lived past 11, never knew the world. Black Pearl, yes sir.
It was good. Thank y'all.